Hello students, we are reading chapter 6 of class 10 from Footprints Without Feet, and that is The Making of a Scientist, written by Robert W. Peterson. This is a story about Richard Ebright and about his curious nature, how the journey of his life, that how he became a scientist. Right? Now, in the second part, we will start from here, page 35. Then, in the 7th grade, he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a county science fair. So, when he was in 7th standard, he participated in a state level science fair and lost, but he didn't win any prize. It was really a sad feeling to sit there and not get anything while everybody else had won something, Ebright said. So, Ebright said that he felt very bad to sit in the fair and not get any prize while all the others had got some prize. But here, he's saying that his entry was slides of frog tissues which he showed under a microscope. So he just got an indication about the real science when he entered the science fair at state level. That was the main thing. And no doubt it was a bad experience for him because he didn't win in that competition. He was not able to get any prize, and while others had got some prize, his entry was his model or his entry in the science fair was just slides of frog tissue which he showed to the visitors through a microscope. He realized the winners had tried to do real experiments, not simply make a neat display. So he just understood this thing that winners had tried to do something, some experiments, some real experiments. They didn't make a presentation of something good. That means he just realized that he has to do something real experiment, something real like just real experiment. Already, the competitive spirit that drives Richard Ebright was appearing. I knew that for the next year's fair, I would have to do a real experiment, he said. So by this time, Richard Ebright had started having a feeling of competition. And he understood that in the next year competition, he would have to show a real experiment. The subject I knew most about was the insect work I had been doing in the past several years. So his knowledge was most about the insect work, and he had been doing this work on butterflies since past many years. So he wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and back came a stack of suggestions for experiment. So he just wrote a letter to Dr. Urquhart for ideas for doing this type of such type of experiments, and then this doctor gave many suggestions to Ebright for experiments. Then those kept Ebright busy all through high school and led to prize projects in county and international science fairs. So, no doubt these ideas kept him busy up to his high school, and he won prizes at state level and at international science fairs. For his 8th grade project, Ebright tried to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. So When Ebright was in 8th standard, he did a project to find the cause of a viral disease, and this particular disease used to kill caterpillars of monarch after every few years. So he tried uh, he tried raising caterpillars. He thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. So here he just tried to find the reasons for this disease, and he thought that the disease might be carried by a because of the presence of beetle it can be, and that disease might be because of beetles. He tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. I didn't get any real results, he said, but I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment. This time I won. So here, he just started rearing or nurturing caterpillars and beetles together. Then he said that he didn't get positive result, but he conducted the experiment and showed that he had tried to do an experiment, and this time he won a prize. The next year, his science fair project was testing the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. The theory was that the viceroys look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds, and viceroy, on the other hand, do taste good to birds. So, during next year, his project for the science fair was about testing a theory. And what was that? The theory was about why viceroy type of butterfly copy monarch type of butterflies. And he assumed that viceroy tried to copy monarch because birds don't eat monarch uh, because of their taste. While viceroy just birds like to eat viceroy. So if so, uh, the more they look like monarch, the less likely they are to become a bird's dinner. So there is a, if these viceroys look like monarch type of butterflies, there is less probability of a bird eating them, right? Ebright's project was to see whether in fact birds would eat monarchs or not. So his project was to check if birds actually eat monarch or not. He found that a starling, that means it's a type of bird, would not eat ordinary bird food, and it would eat all the monarchs it could get. So here it's a starling bird, and he likes to eat monarch butterflies, and it would eat every monarch it sees. So this project, Ebright said, later research by other people showed that viceroy probably do copy the monarch, and this project was placed first in the geology division and third overall in the county science fair. So we can say this project of Ebright was first in geology section and overall third in the state level science fair. In his second year in high school, Richard Ebright began the research that led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to his new theory on the life of cells. So, here we come to know that when Albert was, sorry, Richard Bright was in the second year of his high school, he started a research and discovered a new hormone of insect. And indirectly, because of this discovery, a new theory of life of cells was made. The question he tried to answer was simple. What is the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? Everyone assumed the spots were just ornamental. But Ebright said, but Dr. Urquhart didn't believe it. So here Ebright had tried to find an answer to a simple question, that what's the purpose of 12 golden color spots on the wings of a monarch pupa. Everybody thought that these are only for decoration, for ornamental means decorative. These are only for decoration. But Dr. Urquharts didn't believe this assumption, right? So to find the answer, a bright and another excellent science students first had to build a device that showed that the spots were producing a hormone necessary for the butterfly's full development. So to know the answer, a bright and one another excellent science students made a device, and this device showed that the spots produced a type of hormone, and this hormone was required for the full development of a butterfly. This project won a bright first place in the county fair and entry into the international science fair, and gave him another chance to work in the army laboratory during the summer. So here, this project won first prize and at the state level competition, and it was also sent to compete at the international science and engineering fair, and due to which, and there this project won third prize in the geology section. Now he also got a chance to work during the summer at entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. So here we also come to know that Richard Albright got an opportunity to work during summer in the entomology department of Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. As a high school junior, Richard Albright continued his advanced experiments on the monarch pupa. That year, his project won first place at the International Science Fair and gave him another chance to work in the army laboratory during the summer. So here, in the third year of his high school, that means we can say it's 11th standard, Richard Albright continued his experiments on pupa of monarch butterfly, and that year the project won first prize at the International Science Fair, and then this gave him one more chance to work at the army laboratory during summer. In his senior year, he went a step further. He grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture and showed that the cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wings scales only if they were fed the hormone from the gold spots. So here, during his 12th standard, we can say, he did a higher level of experiment. What was that? He grew cells from the wings of a monarch through culture, and culture means artificial development. And he proved that the cells would divide to develop into an adult fully developed butterfly, and this will happen only if cells receive hormone from the gold colored spots, right? So that project won first place for geology at the international fair, and he spent the summer after graduation doing further work at the army laboratory and at the laboratory of the US Department of Agriculture. So this project won the first prize at the international fair, and during summer after graduation, that means completing 12th standard, he did more research at the army laboratory and the laboratory of the US Department of Agriculture. Now, the following summer, after his freshman year at Harvard University, Albright went back to the laboratory of the Department of Agriculture and did more work on the hormone from the gold spots. So here, next summer, after his first year at the Harvard University, Albright again went to the laboratory of the Department of the Agriculture, and then he did more research on hormones from the golden spots. Using the laboratory's sophisticated instruments, he was able to identify the hormone's chemical structure, and a year and a half later, during his junior year, Albright got the idea for his new theory about cell life. So he used advanced instruments of laboratory to just identify chemical structure of hormone, and then after 1.5 year, during second year at the Harvard University, he got the idea of his new theory about life of a cell. It came while he was looking at X-ray photos of the chemical structure of a hormone. So this idea came came to him when he was observing the X-ray photos of the chemical structure of hormone. And when he saw those photos, Albright didn't shout Eureka or even I have got it, but he believed that along with his findings about insect hormones, the photos gave him the answer to one of the biology's puzzles: how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. And what is the DNA? DNA is the substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. So here, after seeing the photos, he didn't shout Eureka. Eureka means it's a happy shout on achieving something. Or he didn't say that I have got it. He just remained calm. Why he remained calm? Because he believed that his finding about insect hormones and the X-rays has answered a great puzzle of biology. And what is that? That puzzle was how behavior and the properties of a cell is affected by the pattern of DNA. Blueprint is here plan or pattern of DNA. So what is DNA? DNA is a part of the nucleus or central portion of a cell, and it controls heredity. Thus, DNA is the blueprint for life. So we can say it governs the function of the cell. It determines the form and function of the cell, and it is the blueprint for life. That means DNA decides the pattern and behavior for any living being. Right? Now, Albright and his college roommate James R. Wong worked all that night drawing pictures and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. Together, they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. So, here we come to know that Albright and his college roommate, whose name is James R. Wong, worked throughout the night, and they drew sketches and made plastic models of molecules to explain the method of cell getting affected by DNA. Then they both wrote the report to explain the theory. Surprising, no one who knew him, Richard Albright, graduated from Harvard with highest honors, second in his class of 1510, that means 1510. So here Richard Albright graduated from Harvard University with very high rank. He got second rank among 1510 students, and nobody was surprised by his rank. Why? Because he was so genius, he was so brilliant. Albright went on to become a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School. There he began doing experiments to test his theory. Then, so here we come to know that after that, Albright came a student of PhD, that means graduate student researcher, in Harvard Medical College, and there he began doing experiments. That means he started doing experiments to test his theory. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the processes of life. So, here, if the story is proved correct, it will take us closer in understanding the process of life. It might also lead to new ideas for preventing some types of cancer and other disease. It may give us new ideas about preventing some types of cancer and other disease. All of this is possible because of Albright's scientific curiosity. His high school research into the purpose of the spots on a monarch pupa eventually led him to his theory about cell life. So, here, this all has become possible because of the keen interest of Albright towards science. His high school research about the purpose of spots on pupa of monarch guided him to his theory about life of a cell. Now, Richard Albright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, but not so deeply that he hasn't time for other interests. So, here we know this thing that Richard Albright became interested in science when he started collecting butterflies, but he had no time to pursue his other interests also. So, Albright became just also became a champion debater and public speaker and a good canoeist and all around outdoors person. So here Albright uh, took part in debates. He was a very good debater and good at public speaking. And he was good at boating also. He was good at outdoor activities. And he is also a, an expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibits. So, here we also come to know that he was an expert photographer of nature and scientific exhibitions. In high school, Richard Albright was a straight A student. Straight A student means excellent student because learning was easy. He turned a lot of his energy towards the debating and model United Nations clubs. So, in high school, he was an excellent student. He was able to learn very easily. So, he diverted lots of energy towards debating and model United States clubs. He also found someone to admire, Richard A. Vrerer, his social studies teacher and advisor to both clubs. Mr. Vrerer was the perfect person for me then. He opened my mind to new ideas, Albright said. So there is one another person he admired, that means Richard Albright admired Richard A. Vrerer. And who was that? He was his social studies teacher and advisor to both the clubs, debate and this one model United Nations clubs. Albright had said that Mr. Vrerer was a perfect person and he opened my mind to new ideas. So he just uh, admitted this thing that he was always just encouraged by his social sciences, social studies teachers. Richard would always give that extra effort. Mr. Vrerer said, "What pleased me was here was this person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing debate research besides doing all his research with butterflies and his other interests." So, Mr. Vrerer said, Mr. Vrerer said that Albright always used to make extra efforts. And Mr. Herer just appreciated that Albright used to do research for his debate in the night for 3 to 4 hours. And this was in addition to his research for butterflies and other areas of interest. Now, Richard was competitive, Mr. Rarer continued, but not in a bad sense, he explained. Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. Rather, he was winning because he wanted to do the best job he could. For the right reasons, he wanted to be the best. So here Mr. Rarer further just said this thing that Richard was competitive in a good sense. He was not interested in winning for the sake of winning or for getting a prize. He was winning because he was always doing the best work. That means whatever he just wants to do, he wants to do the best. Then he wanted to be the best for a right reason. That means for learning more. Then, and that is one of the ingredients in the making of a scientist. Start with the first rate mind and curiosity and mix in the will to win for the right reasons. Albright has these qualities. From the time the book The Travels of Monarch X opened the world of science to him, Richard Albright has never lost his scientific curiosity. So here the writer wants to tell that uh, this is one of the qualities that makes a person a scientist. One should have a brilliant mind, keen interest, and the desire to win for the right reason. Albright has all these qualities. Reading the book The Travels of Monarch X opened the world of science to him, and since that time, he has maintained his keen interest in science, and that was the reason that how he excelled in the scientific world, in the scientific field. So we can say this story just gives us a message. And what's the message? uh, it's that with perseverance, dedication, and the sincere hard work, any dream is achievable. That means anyone can get success, anyone can excel in his life by using these qualities, that is perseverance, dedication, and sincere hard work, sincere efforts. I hope you are able to understand this chapter thoroughly. Thank you. Have a good day.